to the king, baby.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Neon Inferno by Zenovia Interactive, published by RetroWare, and thank you RetroWare for this key, for this opportunity and this chance to review, play, and have an absolute unforgettable blast with Neon Inferno. Neon Inferno is a 2D run-and-gun gallery shooter game. It has a cyberpunk theme, amazing music. I'll just go ahead and let you have a listen. The soundtrack is stunning. The visuals are popping. It is a freaking blast. It's retro fun. It's very inspired by Contra, Metal Slug, with a mixture of things like, I think, like Wild Guns. I never played that game. But for me, it just felt like you were taking old school 2D run and gun shooters and mixing it with light gun games, kind of light gun mechanics, where you can both play in the foreground and the background, as well as shoot into the foreground and background at the same time, as well as combining cover mechanics, different abilities, kind of picking and choosing what levels you want to play first. So you can actually choose what levels you want to do in what order. It's a relatively short game. I think I was able to finish it in around 2 to 3 hours. For some people it might take longer, depending on if you go back and do arcade mode or play on different difficulties. It's a game that, while the levels are short, you're oftentimes going to be dying quite a bit and restarting the level from the very beginning, because that's usually how that works. There are checkpoints throughout levels. There's usually a checkpoint directly before a boss fight, and usually a checkpoint about halfway through the level. Now, some levels are a bit longer, and they have multiple different checkpoints. But if you quit the level and go back to the menu to pick another level, or even pick that same level, or pick back up and play the game again, you then have to start from the very beginning of the level. But like I said, most levels are fairly short, but the difficulty's there. But once you're like, okay, well, these enemies are here, I know to expect these guys when they fly up, you get a lot better at it. And it kind of has that thing, much like a Contra or something, or even bullet hell games where you're dodging projectiles. If the projectiles are multicolored neon bullets in this game, you need to dodge those or move out of the way or jump over them or something. If the projectiles are red, you can actually hold down your melee button, because it also has melee combat, and you can actually deflect and choose whether you can like angle it and choose whether you want to hit enemies in the background or foreground, which is freaking awesome. And they combine the way boss fights work, both in background and foreground, and even sometimes changing planes mid-fight, or even sometimes having multiple bosses at once, or like multiple difficult enemies at once going against each other kind of thing. There's even times where there's like two tough enemies fighting each other while fighting you, or there's times where you're fighting the police and the other like mafia gang of people they're like, oh, don't shoot, and they'll actually help you for a while. Usually they don't last very long, but it's actually pretty cool. Or you can just shoot them and, not care. You play as either Angelo Morano or Mariana Vitti, and the game also has 2-player co-op, whether you want to play it on PC or Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. I think it's on everything. I don't think it's just on PC. I think it's on everything. I think they even got a physical copy coming out soon. Angelo is kind of like this assassin enforcer kind of character for this crime group that you're part of. As I mentioned before, this is a cyberpunk themed game in a neo-retro New York City. It's in a glorious 32-bit style of a sci-fi cityscape rendered with these beautiful pixel art graphics. And like I said, an evocative and beautiful soundtrack that just hits all the right beats all the time. The illustrations for the game and the protagonists were actually designed by the Japanese illustrator Tsukasa Jun of Capcom fame. RetroWare has actually sent me multiple different games, and I originally just signed up to play Toxic Crusaders because I really wanted to talk about that game, really wanted to cover it because I'm just a huge beat-em-up fan. I ended up getting sent a code for Neon Inferno with little to no information on the game whatsoever. Not only did I not know what I was playing, not know what the game was, hadn't heard about it or anything, when I booted it up and just the intro cinematic, the menu, the music, the art style, I mean, everything was just so powerful. And I was like, what is this? This game is freaking cool. And it is. It's such a cool game. And then I started playing it and I was like, what? I was like, it's a 2D, like shoot 'em up kind of Contra-like game, but it's also like a light gun game, and the bosses are fun, the abilities, the movement, and it's a very evocative of those old school games where you got to keep learning the layout of the levels, the enemy placement, the weakness of the enemies, who to prioritize first, and kind of, you know, the strategy of the whole thing. And then, you know, you progressively get better, progressively get through it. Arcade mode and all that kind of stuff really provides a lot of replayability. It would be really cool to see other characters added maybe, or some other kind of cool things like that. I mean, I would love to see a sequel. It even ends on a cool note. It's just a really cool game. It even has a cool twist at the end that you maybe expected, maybe didn't expect. I wasn't expecting it, but I thought it was pretty awesome. I thought the final boss was great. I thought just about every boss in the game was fantastic. There was a few points in the game where I was like, God, this is really pissing me off. And there was moments, especially near the end, where you're just kind of like boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, almost like a boss rush kind of thing back to back. And there was moments where I'm fighting multiple enemies at once, and really it was just a skill issue. It was just I wasn't doing what I needed to do. I kept forgetting that I even had a dodge roll, which will completely eliminate damage if you roll through an attack. I kept forgetting that existed, and once I figured out it existed, I was like, that just changes everything. There's a tracer shot ability that you can get, which just you fire and it just automatically homes in on enemies. And I'm telling you right now, for the final boss, without that, would be 10 times harder, and a lot of enemies in the game would be 10 times harder. A lot of boss fights became, or even levels became a lot more difficult when I forgot to buy abilities. But when I had the abilities, it was just like, you can really use those things strategically to make things 10 times easier than they would normally be. So there was a lot of areas where I was like, crap, no, I forgot to buy this. And then there's certain levels where you can't go back and buy stuff, so you have to continue on until you make it to the next part. After playing Neon Inferno, I found out that Zenovia Interactive made another game called Steel Assault, which I would love to play because it looked really, really cool. More reminiscent of like a Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi style game. Neon Inferno is their second game. And they're a game studio based in New York City, which is fitting. And I think that they did a phenomenal job at crafting this cyberpunk futuristic New York City. The rain and the effects, the freaking neon art style was fantastic. The way they did colors, I think overall it was super well designed. You know, you knew what was dodgeable, what you need to jump over, what was something you could actually reflect back at people just based on colors and movement. It was very easy to get a grip on how you need to play the game and how everything functioned, and it was done really well. A interesting comparison point for me is that it's been the complete opposite of my experience with AVG and 8-bit, where I've found that game to be purposely archaic in design, but also a game that isn't very well designed in the sense of it's very occasionally unfair, but I still am not a huge fan of a game purposely mimicking a time where a lot of games were purposely made unfair because they were ports of arcade games put onto consoles. So while I understand that, I think that Neon Inferno does something by taking a classic style of game, much like Shovel Knight did, and actually fine-tuning it and making it to where not only is it difficult, but it's also fair. It's something that by paying attention, playing the game, meeting it on its own terms, and understanding how it all works, Neon Inferno does a great job at just teaching you without constantly throwing things at you saying, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. It just kind of shows you like, hey, here's a little thing, or here's an enemy, and this is how they kind of function. And then as you go on, all of your skills are tested. I love it when a video game tests everything that you learn from the beginning all the way to the end. And in the end, when you fight the final boss, you really are tested on pretty much every single thing that you learn throughout the entirety of the game. And that's something that I really appreciate. On top of that, the story is a very, very simple story. You're literally just doing assassination contracts for the head of your crime syndicate that you are part of, and you're basically inserting yourself into this war between this rival crime syndicate and the corrupt New York City police force. It's fairly simple, and there's a twist in the end, and basically you and Mariana just ride off into the sunset into a unknown future. Hopefully a happy one, but you never know. Overall, I just gotta say that like Neon Inferno's really good. I really think that everybody should play it. If you like Wild Guns, or you like light gun games, or you like Contra, or Metal Slug, or 2D shooters, Cuphead, so I think you should probably play this, or at least give it a shot, or at least look into it. It's really difficult for me to say that anything that I found to be negative about this game. I'm trying to learn to be more critical about things than I have been in the past. I'm a largely positive person, and I'll be critical when it's needed, but I'm not trying to be critical for the sake of it, nor am I trying to be positive for the sake of it. There's nothing I could really say that is negative about this game. Everything fits together like a perfect puzzle piece, and it's not even like necessarily a game that I play on the regular. I've never beaten a Contra game. I don't play run and gun shooters very often. I do like 2D games. I do like Cyberpunk, and I love great music, but this is not a style of game that I really have ever played. I've never played Wild Guns or any game like that. I do love light gun stuff, though. It's just really hard for me to reach and find anything negative. I don't really... I mean, even if I'm just trying really hard to find something negative about the game, there is one thing. One thing that I think could be... It could make it overpowered in lower difficulties, but could be really useful in arcade and higher difficulties. But something I think that should be available is to have either multiple charges of the special abilities you buy from the shop, more things that you can buy with the money that you get, or having multiple abilities that you can use throughout a level versus just holding on to one till the end or till a boss or whatever. I think it would have been interesting to be able to use, because you only have limited use on those abilities once you get them. It's not like it's permanent. So if you could hold multiple, I think that would be really cool. So I think the only negative I can really say is that you can only hold one ability. You have to buy it before the level. So I think maybe if you could, I don't know, run into a shop in the middle of a level, or you could have multiple per level, that would be very interesting. I think maybe for a sequel. But that's really the only negative, is that you can only have one ability per level, and you have to buy it beforehand, so if you forget, you know, you have to like quit the level and so on. I think the checkpoints work out just fine. I think the levels are a perfect length to where when you do have to completely replay a level, it's not that big of a deal, and when there are checkpoints, they're usually at a really good point, and it works really well. And there's always checkpoints right before a boss, so you never really have to worry about having to play through the whole level again just to get to the boss. It's an improvement on old school design that I think is really good, especially to respect someone's time and not really having you just play in circles for no reason whatsoever. If you want that, there's arcade mode. I think that one you have to actually play the whole thing in like one run or something. I don't think it has checkpoints. I didn't really mess around with arcade mode much, and I didn't play the like co-op or split screen or whatever, but it's definitely something I want to look into because my son watched me play Neon Inferno quite a bit, and he was quite a big fan. I think I even let him play a little bit as well. He's not very good at that kind of game. He did enjoy it. He definitely liked watching me play it. He was hyping me up for the boss fight at the end. I was sitting there doing the boss fight, and he's got his arm on my shoulder. He's sitting here standing next to me while I'm playing, and he's like, "Yeah, you're the best. You got this. Yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He's hyping me up. He's my hype man. Well, that's Neon Inferno. It is an amazing fusion of 2D run and gun and gallery shooter, where the action takes place in the foreground and background. It is a cool mixture. It is a cool game. The visuals, the sprite work, the animations, the characters, the difficulty, the bosses, the cyberpunk world it all takes place in, and that soundtrack are all absolutely perfect, and you need to play this game. And like I said before, yes, I was provided a code for this. No, I don't make any money on this channel, nor do I make any money for playing these games. They just give me codes, I make videos. I guess they appreciate that I make videos. So, just so you know, I make nothing. So, this is my opinion, only my opinion. Can I be biased? Sure. Everybody can. But I don't make any money, so no matter what I say, this is all my opinion. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you go out and check out Neon Inferno. It's probably on sale right now because of the winter sale, so definitely go see if it is, and if it is, go play it. It was an absolute blast, and I really want to go back and play Steel Assault, maybe on Switch or Steam or something. Steel Assault looks like a fairly similar but different kind of experience, and it looks like a lot of fun, so I really want to play that because what they did with the Inferno is awesome, and I think that whatever they did prior would be just as good. So if you enjoyed what I've created, please leave a like, comment down below what you think about my video, the game, and what you'd like to see on the channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification so you know when I post videos. Keep your eyes on the channel posts and anything else. If you'd like to support the channel further, hop on Patreon and join the Cult of the Forge, where my other continued supporters, Midnight Medium, Osh, Melancholy Geek, continue to support me, and even a few free members. As always, the Forge is calling, and I must answer, so I'll see you all when the next video has been forged.